So we create aliases for the commands which we want to use regularly mostly. So we can create a small alias for that. We have did this one, but whatever we create from the commands, it was not permanent, it will not permanent. So we want to make it permanent, then we have to make an entry in a configuration config file of it. We have two options for that. We can give some aliases to a particular users, or we can give some aliases to all the users. So if you want, suppose if you're having 100 500 users, so if you want to give one alias to all the 500 users, so it is not easy to mention single files. So we can do what, we can change a center file which will affect all the users. Now for first, for aliases to a specific user, so for doing that, for doing this, what we will do, aliases to a specific user. We will edit dot bash rc file from the user's home directory. So if we want to give a particular user some aliases, that means I want only that user should have that alias and nobody else should have. So what I will do, I will use this bash rc file, and remember it's a hidden file, and this file will be available in every user's home directory. That means every user's home directory will be having this file. Now in this file, it contains the bash configuration for that particular user. Remember bash, what I said, bash is your born again shell. That is a shell where you can that defines what the commands the users can use, or the environment of the user. Now this one decide the environment of the user, and those configurations are there for this file, in this file. Now the aliases configurations are also available in this file. So if I want to give some alias to a particular user, so I will edit this file of that user's home directory. So if suppose we are having a user, for example, to give alias to user, this is the user we have. So what I will do, we will edit we will do what, we will edit the file. This is normal user, so the home directory will be under home, and then the name of the user, the directory of that user's home directory, and in that home directory we will find this bash rc file, hidden bash rc file. So what we are going to edit for this user, I'm going to edit the file of this user's home directory, that is under home, the user's name directory, and in that directory it will have this bash rc file. Now what I will do here, I will edit the file, that means simple, I will open the file with vi or vim, because we remember this is the editor we have. So this will be the command to open the file. This is to open file, and then what I will do here, I will add alias. Now how I will add alias? I will add like same as I configured. So we have a user there. First let us check, is it that user is having that alias or not. So I log that user here. Is it that user? No. So I will do logout. Now I will log in with that user. Now is it the alias is working? CLS? No, it is not working because this user does not have that alias. So what I will do, I will give this user an alias, and how I will give it, I will configure the file for that user. Is it working here? It is not working here also. For the root also not working, for that user also it is not working. Now I will do what? I will configure the alias for that user. So I will open the file for that user, which is under home dot bash rc. Now this file contained all the bash related information. Bash related, that means the shell, the environment, it is related to that, all the configurations are here. Now what I will do, I will use the empty place. Remember, don't get into the configurations. You should use the empty place which is not used. For example, here if you can see here, there is a loop created here in the configuration. If this then this, it is a shell scripting program. So don't get into these loops. If I try to edit the line here in between this loop, then it will get error, program error. So don't do that. Just do configure that in empty place. So it is a good idea to go to the file where there is no line. So always it is good idea to go to the end of the file and then create the alias. So the command is alias cls equal to clear. That is what I want to create. Simple. Then escape and save it. So this is how we create alias for this specific user. Now only that user will use that alias and nobody else will use. So what we will add, at the end of the file. And what you add, you will add the command alias, then cls equal to whatever alias. It is not necessary that you want this, you can do it for anything. And after that you will do save, and then this is done. Now we can check, is it working here for the root user? It is not working for the root user, but if I try to go for the user here, I have to log out first because the configuration is not loaded. Now I will log in again. Now I will try CLS and it is working now. It is working for this user, but it is not working for root user, or it will not work for any other user. It is only working for this user, the user which we gave the alias. Now, if we want to give alias to all the users, that means the same alias I want to give for all users. That means no matter who, everyone will use that alias. So for aliases to all the users, for aliases to all the users, for aliases to all the users, what we do, we will edit the file we will edit the main bash rc file. Now the main bash rc file means what? Every user, when we have those, all users are getting the configuration for their bash is from this main bash rc file. If you see the file which we open for the user, if I open this file for this user, now you can see I said all the configuration for the bash is there, but it is not there. It is nothing in the file. What we see in the file, we see only these lines. And one more thing you have to understand in the configuration files, the lines which is starting from the hash, you can see the lines which is starting from the hash is called comment. Comment means these lines are not affecting. These lines will not affect. These lines are just comments. Those software student knows that these things are what? Comments. That means these are only for the information. It is only for the information, like information for us, not for the system. System ignores these lines. When it sees the hash in the beginning of the line, the system will ignore these lines. It will not read these lines. These are just information for us. Only system will read those lines which is not starting from the hash. And that is what this line and this loop. So only we have this configuration. We did not have any other configuration in this file. But this file decides all the configuration of the bash. So where is the all configuration? So actually the all configurations are coming from this main bash rc file which is under etc. This is the main bash rc file, and from here every users are getting the information about the bash. Every user. That means if I want to give some alias to all the users, so I will make an entry on this main bash rc file. So whenever any user we create or whatever the user we have, when they logged in, they will get the aliases, they will get the all bash information from this file, and from this file it will also get the alias. So this is the main bash rc file for the user bash configurations. So if we want to make an alias which will be available for all the users, we will make the entry here in this file. So it is very simple. We just open the file and then we make this entry at the end of the file. Simple. So main file is under etc. So how we do this? We will use vi or vim and then etc. This time it is not hidden, dash rc to open file, and then what? We do the same thing, add alias at the end of the file like this, and then save and quit. So what we do, remember it is not working for root, but when we add it into the main file, it will be available for all the users. So this is the main file, and when I open the file, you can see all the configuration here. Here is the configuration for the bash. You can see these are lots of configurations here, and remember these are loops, program loop, if else then this. So don't get into these loops. Go to the end of the file, and then here at the end of the file you create your alias, and then save and quit. And now when you run this, it is not running. I have to log out. Oh, exit, then reopen, and now CLS, and now it is working for root user also. So it is now working for root user also, like it was working for that other user. Now any user or all the users we have in the system, they all will get the alias, and if we create new user also, they will also get the alias. So this is what alias is. Any question you want to ask anybody? Anybody wants to ask anything about this? Website developers, I have created one bash script, but where is this guy? He's not here. He's disconnected. Okay. Anybody wants to ask anything?
Yes, sir. I would like to know about the users. I don't know you created the users before or because I don't understand
That
about the users.
that user was created when we were installing the system. If you remember,
And it is only one user here,
there is
but
only one
not
user.
like three.
There is only one
Yeah.
user. We will see how we can create and manage users after this basic commands. But
Okay, what I'm saying, there were two users. Yeah, there were two users added to that one, which we created when installation.
when we created the installation, there is root, which is the default one, and the extra user we
And
create.
then the user.
Yes, the user we have to create. So there is two
Okay.
users.
Mr. Takimi, I'm sorry, this last batch I was off.
Yes.
Work is disturbing. The last part I was off because of the work.
Okay. Network is
Oh,
disturbing,
no.
right? Now the next topic is what the pipes and redirection. this pipes and redirection is very important for us, like the commands which we use. So with the help of these pipes and redirection, we can design our command, or we can do what, we can manipulate those commands, we can do lots of things with it. Okay, first we'll do the uh, pipe. Okay, now you know what is pipe. We all know pipe which used by plumbers. They do what? If suppose we have one tank of water, so we attach pipe to transfer the water from one tank to other tank. That is what pipe. Now here pipe also do the same thing. Now first, what is pipe in our keyboard? If you see in your keyboard, there is a straight line there. In a keyboard, you will see one key which contained this slash, and also it contains one straight line. When you press shift and that key, you will see this. So this is actually pipe. This symbol is called pipe. Now what it do? It do transfer output from one command, and it will transfer the output to other command as a input. Remember output and input. What it do? It take output from one command and make it input for other command. Now what that means? Let's see the example first. Let's see the example. ls hyphen l, and I want to list etc directory. So when I run this command, this is the output. Now this is the output, and the output is what, very long, and the all the files and directories are not showing because they gone up, because the directory contains lots of files and directory. So you can see it is going up, so I have to scroll to see all those things. So this is what an output. Now input means what? We use more command. More command do what? It do show you the files from the beginning. From the beginning, that means from the first line to last line. Now for showing the lines, it needs the file as a input. So we mention the file name which we want to list. So this more command need input, and input it will take from this file. So when I run this, it display that input from the file in the terminal as a line wise. Now remember, more command need input from the file. Now the command which I run this, the output for this command is very long and it is not able to fit into the screen. I want to see this output from the first line to last line. Remember, you are in command line and your mouse is not there, so you cannot do scroll. Now what I can do, I can use pipe, because this is not a file. if you see the output of this command, it is not a file, it is the output of the command. I cannot use it in a more. Only more command or less command do what? It display the lines file content of the file in a line wise, like from first line to last line. But the output of this command, it is not a file, it's an output. So what I will do, I will give a pipe here. That means what? The output for the command, I am using pipe here, and then I will transfer the output to this command. Now remember the command more, it works like more, and then we mention the file from where it will get the input. But now this time I will not mention any file name. After more command, I will not mention any file name, because instead of the file, it is going to get the input from this command. So the output for the command from this command will go and may be input of this command. So what is the output of this command? The output of this command is this. So this will be added, it will take into this command as an input. And now when you press enter, you will see like this. Now the more command is showing that output as a line wise, and it is starting from the first line, and you can see when I press enter, it is start showing those lines one by one. Now you see it has become very helpful for you. Otherwise it is not possible for you to see all the files one by one. Now more command does not go up or down. So if you want to go up and down also, then you will use less command. Okay, output is finished. So what we did here, we use this to get the output from one command and make that output as an input for the other command. Like if you want to use less, then you can use less also. Now you can go down and you can go up also. And whenever you finish, you can press Q to come out. So what it is doing here, be careful. What it is taking the output from this command and making it input for the other command. And who is doing it? It is pipe. Now we can add multiple pipes. And remember, it depends on your logic. And that is what it uses in scripting, this bash scripting programming also. It depends on your logic, like how much pipe you can add, and it will call chain of commands, chaining of command. That means you can create the chain of commands by adding multiple pipes. Now let's see the example for that. Now see, I can also go for some extent, then my logic also finish. Okay, let's see this. Now this time I will list with the R and L also. Now this means what? It will list recursively. And when I go for etc, now the output is very big because it will extend the directories also. Now this output is very big because it opens the directories also. Now what I will do, I will add pipe. Now what I say, from these output, I want to see. Now I am using the output in a grab command. Remember, you can use it in any command. And then I will say under this, I want to grab something from there. Like I say pass wd. So it will list all the files inside the etc, and output will go to grab command, and from that it will grab this pass wd file name. So it will show me only those lines which contain the file pass wd name, and I can see these files here. So I will see only those lines which contain this. Let's say I want to count how many files are there, because one line, one file, remember. So I want to see how many files. So I will add one more pipe here. And remember word count command, WC. If I say L, so it will count the line. So what I get here, 5. So why I get 5? So first, this command do what? It lists all the files and directory from the etc directory. Then the output will go to the grab command. From the grab, it grabs only the lines which contain passwd, and that is these lines. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that output, that means this output, it goes to WC command, the WC word count, and I want to count only lines. So it says there is 5 lines. Okay, let's do this. So there are some files which is having this passwd name. Now I want to see only the size of those files. I don't want to see anything else. I want to see only size of those files. So what I will do, awk print. Now size is in which column? So first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. In a fifth column. So $5 close. And remember, for the grab, I'm not mentioning any file name as a input because it is taking the input from this command. And for awk also, I will not mention any file name here because it will also take the input from this command. And now we can see the size only for those 5 files. Or I can add more pipe. What else I can do? Okay, it is not in a proper order, so I will add this sort command. Sort command is to sort your output. It is in numbers or letters, so if it is in a letter, so A to Z, numbers, then 0 to 9, like this. Okay, now it is sorting the numbers also, like 0, 1, 3, 3, 5, like this. So this is like I use here, how many pipes I use? 1, 2, 3 pipes. You can go on to use as many pipe as you can, but depending on your logic. Remember, it depends on your logic, because you have to think like this, like output of the one command will go on to become the input for the other command, then the output from this command will go on to make be in the input for this command, then the output for this command will go on to make to be input for the other command. So just like this, you can add as many pipe as you want. So this is what a very good way to use these commands, and it is very helpful. It is very helpful to do this. So this is what pipe. Now redirection. After this, redirection. Now redirection means what? Redirection, that means we have two types of redirections: input redirection and output redirection. Okay, let me add some examples there. So it will do what? Output of alias command will be taken as a input for less command. We can use multiple pipes as we like, depends on your logic. Example like this. So example like this, we can use as many as pipes we want. Now second thing is what? Redirections. Now we have two redirections, or we can say we have input and output redirections. Now first input redirection. Now input redirection is to it is to give input from any file to commands. That means the input from any file like content of the file to give to commands. Now this is not used normally right now. We don't use normally we don't use like this input redirection, because now we don't need it. Because without using the input redirection, still it works. This is the input redirection symbol. लास्ट के बाद नहीं रहने दो. So this is what input redirection symbol. Now we don't use it because we don't need it actually. It is to do what? It is to give input from a file to command. But Now we do not use it normally. It is very rare we require this. It is very rare we require this because we don't have to mention, okay, double L. We don't have to mention this input redirection. Now for example we know we use cat command. Remember, we use cat command. We use cat command to do what? To create file, to see the file content. To see the file content and to create the file. Now see, when I don't give anything, like say for example, I don't give anything, I just give cat command, and when I press enter, now what it is doing actually here, it is actually waiting for the input because I have not mentioned any input. So it is actually waiting for the input to display. Cat command's job is very simple, to get the input and display on the terminal. That is standard output. So it get the input and it will display the input from the file and display it into the terminal. Now it is actually waiting for the input. Now suppose when I type something here. So this is what I type, but it is not, I have not input it. So when I press enter, so what it will do, it will take this input and it will display, it will print the input on terminal. Now you see what it is doing. When I press enter here, it take this input and print it here. So whatever I type here, and when I press enter, it prints that thing. So it is actually do what? It take the input and print it on terminal, display it on terminal. So right now it is waiting for the input. Now when I press Ctrl D, we get out. Now because it was waiting for the input, now what I will do, instead of waiting for it, I will mention the input symbol and I will mention the file name to give the input. So do we have any file? Let me check first. We have. So instead of waiting, I will mention the input symbol, input redirection, and I will mention the file name. Now this will do what? It will display the content of this file. It will take it as a input and it will do what? Cat will do its job and it will display the input into the terminal. And we see this. Now we don't need to do this actually. That means if we want to do this, so without this symbol also we can do this. So if I don't give this input redirection symbol, still it will work same. Still it is doing what? It is taking the input from the file and doing its job, and the job of the cat command is to put the input on terminal, display the input on terminal. So whatever the input it get, it displayed on to terminal. So it is getting the input from this file. So we don't have to give this input redirection symbol because these commands are now take the input directly. In old days, sometimes or some commands in some time they will not take the input from the file. So you can use this input redirection to give the input to command. So if some command or somewhere it is not taking the input from the file, so you can use this input redirection to put the input to the file, give the input to the file, and then it will do what? It will do whatever it want to do, like whatever it is designed to do. This cat command is designed to do what? Give the input to terminal, directly display the input to terminal. So this is what input redirection. So mostly we don't use it, but we can use it. So for example, we can do what? We can use this Like it will do what? It will give content content of the file to cat command. But we can do this without this input redirection. Like directly we can do this cat and file name. So mostly we don't use this. We don't need this input redirection. Now this output redirection. Now this output redirection is this. Now this output redirection do what? It take output from command. It take output from the commands. That means whatever the output is coming from the command, it will take those outputs and it will give it to the file. That means it will take the output from the command and it will add it into file. For example, we will go again for cat command. Now remember what this cat command do? It is waiting for the input, and when I type and give input, it display the input on terminal. So whatever input I give, it displays onto the terminal. Control D, nothing is there. Now what I do here, if I say this, that means I am saying whatever the input, whatever the output of the command, redirect it to this file. Now remember, if you remember how we create the file from cat, this is how we create the file. So what I will do here, what is the meaning of this? I am saying cat. So this is the command. So whatever the input this command will give, whatever the output of the command, it will be redirected to this file. Now if the file is not there, so it will create the file for the output. Now what is the output? So when I press enter, now the cat command is waiting for the output, like waiting for input. So when I type something and press enter, now what cat is doing here? The cat command's job is to display the input to the terminal, but now it is not displaying on the terminal. So why it is not displaying? Because I have already said redirect the output to this file. Here if you see, when I press enter, it display the output, input. When I press enter, it display the input to the terminal. But in this, it is not displaying the input. It is doing what? It is redirecting the input to this file. So the command is doing what? It is redirecting it to the file. And when we press Ctrl D, the file is created. And what is inside the file? It is the input which we mention in the cat command. Now let's take it in this different command. You can do it for any other command. Let's say uptime. I run uptime. When I run uptime, it shows me what current time. It shows how much time it is machine is running, how much users are there, and what is the load average. Now what I will do, I will redirect this command output. See, this command's output is coming on terminal. Now what I will do, I will redirect the output to a file. Let's say up. Now nothing comes out. It is not displaying on the terminal. So it is doing what? It is redirecting the output to the file. So when you check the file, you can see the output. What is the time here? 10:53:11, 11 seconds. Now I will run it again. Now what? When I check the file again, now you see it was 11 second, now it is showing 37 second. Why? It is overwrite. It did what? It overwrite the output. So this symbol do what? It will do redirect the output of the command to the file. And it will do what? It will redirect it and overwrite the previous command, previous options or previous everything in the file. So if you don't want to overwrite it, then you will mention this to symbol. So when you do two symbols of this, so it will not overwrite the previous content of the file, it will append. And now you see previously it was 37 second, now it is 54:24. And that is what the same thing we do when we use cat for adding the file. Remember, we can't edit the file because cat is not an editor. It do what? It append the file like this. So for example, what we do, I will give this uptime. So it will do what? It will do what? So it will redirect output of command to file. Now if you don't want to overwrite it, then what you will do, you will mention two signs. So it will do what? It will do same, but without overwrite. So it will do the same, but it will not overwrite. So it is very simple. Command this overwrite this output redirection do what? It do simple. Take the output from the command and give it to the file. One symbol overwrites previous one, previous input. Two symbol will not overwrite. But there is a twist here. Now there is a small twist. It is doing what? It is giving the output of command. Now remember, commands can have error also. Actually, commands have two outputs. Now, all the commands have two outputs. one is standard output and second is standard error. That means they have standard output and standard error also. Now if this is very helpful actually, this is output redirection of the command. For example, if you run some command, I will give it here. It is helpful when you want to have record of commands output for future. Like when you run some command and you got some error or the commands run successful. Now suppose it is getting some error. Now you want to show this to your administrator or somebody else. Now how you will show this? Because when you run the command you got error or something and then done, you don't have any record. So what you can do, whatever the output is coming from the command, you can redirect it into the file and then you can show anyone that file in future or anytime they want. Like you can say that when I run this command I got this and this is the problem I have, this is what we have or we can have or we have the problems. So it's a good idea to have a command saved in your file output. Now it's a good idea to save it. Now there is a problem here, there is a thing here that this commands, when you run a command you get two things, either you get the normal output or you get error. Now if you want to redirect it into a file, then you have to mention it that what you want to redirect. That means suppose there is a command ls-l. This is the write command. Now and this is the output of the command. This is simple. So when I redirect this output to any file like ls.txt, so the output goes to the file. Now when I check the file, oh, I see the output. This is the output. Now suppose I run a command which is having an error. There is an option Z. Now it is not there. It's an error. It is not a command. Now if I redirect this to a file ls error, now you see the error is coming out on the terminal. Now what we have in the file ls error, so we don't have anything. That means what is the default behavior for the Linux? This standard output and standard error by default both goes on to terminal. Both will display on terminal. But when you redirect it in a file, so this error will not redirect by default. Error always be on terminal. So by default when you use the redirection, it will redirect only output. It will not redirect the error. Remember, these are the two outputs So by default, only standard out, which is the normal output, will be redirected to file, and standard error will be redirected to terminal. So when you redirect anything, so when you redirect the output, command output to the file, so by default always it goes to the standard output will go redirect to file, and error will always go to terminal, because errors are important, so it will always display error on terminal. It will not display error in a file. So when you want to do this, when you want to change this behavior, then you can use these numbers. Then you can use these numbers. Hello? हाँ सर, SMS पे क्लिक करो तो फिर लिंक ओपन हो जाता है। अभी अपन ने तो सबको बोला हुआ है वहाँ से आने के लिए, तो अपने को पता नहीं चलता वो लोग कहाँ से आ रहे हैं। हाँ मैं तो हाँ 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 हम्म हाँ